All right, testing 1, 2, 3. I want to know if you can hear me as well. There you are. If you guys can hear me, then say hello in the chat. Let's see if I can find chats. This is the first time I've used Zoom for chatting. I mean, for webinars. I'm going to try to figure this out, guys. Okay, can y'all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, okay? Type yes, I can hear you. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, I got my chat on the side here. I'm excited. I'm not going to put my face up. I'm going to just go ahead and get started on the webinar. I think just make sure this is being recorded. I don't know how I do that. Yeah, recording. Okay, good. So it is recording. Okay, awesome. All right. Hey, Wilson, I see you. Hey, guys, I see a lot of people here. Everybody's hitting awesome. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes. So if you can hear me, say yes. Introduce yourself into the chat. Everybody can talk to each other in the chat. I'll try to pay attention to the questions. You know, as we go through, and I'll answer all your questions. I'm using Zoom now for webinars. We moved over, so this is our very first webinar on Zoom. So anyway, so I'm kind of excited. Hopefully it works out. And I got on a webinar with Zoom last week to just kind of like figure out how to do this, all this webinar stuff. And there was 1,500 people on that webinar, and they were having literally 3 to 5 webinars a day. Can you imagine how many people are trying to learn how to do Zoom right now? And so many people. Isn't that crazy? So now is the time to go virtual. And now is the time. That's why I decided to do this webinar, right, guys? Because now is the time to go virtual. All right, so we just got a 30-day, you know, another 30-day extension on this. So so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in the webinar, and kind of just, I wanted to go through with you guys the step-by-step process to wholesaling virtually, right? And how I do it as well too. So I can see a lot of people are coming on. So thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. I'm not going to put my video on this time. Just because I want to have, like, I just want to have y'all's full attention, not be focused on me, but focused on the slides and stuff. All right, I see Dion is there. I see Greg. I see a lot of people coming on. Awesome. Okay, all right, so let's get started. All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Stacy Rossetti. If you don't know me, thank you for joining and listening to me. We'll get into who I am in just a few minutes, but I want to go into today, like, why I feel that this is probably one of the best strategies for us to be focusing on over the next you know, couple of months. And then we'll get into any kind of questions that you guys have as well too. Hey, Rich, you're on here too. Awesome. Thank you guys for getting on and listening. Okay, so how to wholesale without leaving your house, even if you've never wholesaled before, right? That's what we're going to get into today. So we're going to get into this. And just ask away any questions, because I want to make sure everybody feels like you're getting enough value out of this this webinar as well. All right, let's get started. All right. Okay. So why invest in real estate right now, right? Why is it important to invest in real estate right now? And why is it important to learn how to invest in real estate right now? Right? So that's the question that I'm posing to everybody. And if you have your ideas, please put them into the chat. I want to hear what everybody's ideas are on why you think it's so important right now to learn how to invest in real estate and to invest in real estate, okay? I have been getting calls over the last couple of weeks by many members of the South Atlanta area, and also my students have been calling me. In my mastermind, we've been discussing heavily what is, you know, what's going on with the market. And I can just feel, and I can just tell that everybody's just scared, you know, everybody's scared. All right, so let's get into like, how we can dissect why it's so important to invest in real estate. All right. And first, I want you guys to just realize the history of the real estate market and where we are in terms of what's happened over the past 100 years. Hey, Donna, I see you. Hey, everybody, thank you for hopping on. See, we can still have meetings and get together and talk and chat. We just have to do it virtually now. That's it. That's all we have to do, right? So we're still here. The community is still here helping each other. We just have to do it online, for a little while. And I'm not here to like talk politics. I'm not here with any opinions on anything that's going on like in the world. I don't even really want to get into like the virus and how it's affecting everything, because we will talk extensively about that on the main meeting, right? So make sure you guys hop on for the main meeting, because we will talk extensively for that as well, but during the main meeting. So hopefully you guys join and listen to that with all of our panelists and stuff. But what I wanted to talk about real fast is just the history of the real estate market. And I want you guys to get a visual of kind of like what's happening right now. And I just love this slide right here. These slides that I've got on here, I wanted you just to see how the market has been changing over the last 30, 40 or 50 years. How and this is kind of an older graphic, I know, because it only goes to 2015. It goes a little bit after 2015, but essentially what I wanted to show you guys, that in the real estate world, in the housing world, there's always dips in the market. There's always, as you can see from 1980 until now, outside of the bubble, right, outside of our huge crisis, there has always been dips in the market. The market is up and the market is down, and there's a cycle, right? I remember my parents in the 1980s, buying a house and paying like between 15 and 20% interest, they were telling me, on that house, right? So if they can survive a 15 to 20% interest on a regular mortgage, and there was volatile times even during that time, we can certainly survive right now, okay? And if we can go through, and if we can survive, the 2006 bubble, which compares to nothing on the cycle of real estate that's happened over the past 40 or 50 years, then we can definitely survive what is going to happen over the next year or couple of years, okay? And what I want you guys to keep in mind, and I've been telling my students this, is that the real estate market is really an 8-year cycle, okay? It's an 8-year cycle, and we're actually in year 12 of the 8-year cycle, right? And so you have to keep in mind that when there's, when there's a cycle in the market, that means there's an upturn and a downturn, right? But like I point out here in this slide, there's upturns and downturns throughout all of history. And there's nothing has ever been compared, for us at least, except for if you go all the way back to 1912, if you go all the way back to 1932, 1912, 1915 is when they had World War I. Of course, we had a serious drop in the market there. And then the 1930s, we had a drop in the market. And that was the Great Depression, which was worse. But from there until like until now, we really have been just kind of a normal, it's been ups and downs and ups and downs. So please keep that in mind, that we will be able to get through this. That's the whole point of this market. All right. Another thing too that I love this one. I know this is a United States versus like the San Francisco area, but I love how this JPEG kind of points out all the different crises we've had from the 1980s until now, right? So we've had, we've had the 1989 earthquake, we've had earthquakes, we've had recessions, we've had like the dot-com crash, we've had the financing bubble, we've had, a recession, we've had all the way through all these different types of scenarios throughout the market that we've survived, right? And so I love that. I just love seeing that even though there are all these different scenarios in the world that happen, right, we can always get through them. So please just keep that in mind. I'm here to cheer you guys on, and I'm here to help you through that. Now, what the next slide that I wanted to show you guys is one of my most favorite slides. And this is the real estate market in your, right, in your 8 to 12 year cycle, okay? Right, so I actually, if you look at this, you can kind of see, like, you can kind of see where the market is right now, okay? So I came in right before the optimism set in, you know, on the upswing, right? I came in right at the, I remember coming in right around the hope and the relief. I came in on this, on the left side of the graph, I came in at hope and relief around 2010, 2011 into the market, right? And I remember when I was like, it was getting really, really good, right? 2013, 14, 15 were just amazing. If anybody has been in the market around that time, because I know a lot of you guys have been, when it was like 2014, 15, 16, and I was just doing rehab after rehab, and I was just making a lot of money, and just like everything was awful, everything was awesome. And I remember me thinking, just like this little emoticon here, saying, I am brilliant, right? And I was right at the very tip, at the top of the market, and I was like, hell yeah, everything is going all good and stuff, right? And then what happens is that you get to that highest peak, right? And then you realize that there's a lot of competition out there. All of a sudden, there's a lot of competition. You know, there's too many hands in the pot. It becomes a buyer's market instead of a seller's market, right? And then you start getting like, and then you start realizing, right, that you have, you know, like, okay, so now what do? I have to start changing strategies. And so for me, being in the market for 10 years now, I have gone through these cycles. I have gone through every single one of these feelings, actually. And I really, and the longer that you stay in the real estate market, the more you're actually going to be able to relate to this. Can anybody that's listening to me right now, can you guys relate to this JPEG right here? When you got in at the perfect time, going on the upswing right after the bubble, everything was going awesome, and then all of a sudden you realize there's too many hands in the pot, there's too much going on, and now you have to start changing course. I've seen a lot of investors over the last couple of years really trying to figure out what they should be doing right now and where they should be turning to. Now, you guys know 3 years ago, I started getting into storage facilities because that's exactly where I was. I was at the top of the market. And then all of a sudden I realized there was too many hands in the pot and too much going on, right? So then I started thinking, okay, so now what can I do? Where can I change? What can I do in order to stay in the market and stay relevant in the market and make money in the market, right? So if anybody can understand, anybody agrees to me, go ahead and say yes. All right, okay, so Richard says, I want to be ready for the next upswing. So that is what I want to point out now, is that look at the boxes. Look at what the boxes say, right? The highest risk is when you are at the very top of the upswing, and the highest potential for your earning is at the very lowest time of the downswing. All right. So everybody always, that's the thing, is everybody always wants to get into real estate investing when everything is going awesome and great, right? And I totally get that, you know, because you've got money or there's money out there to lend, you're feeling good, your job's going great. But the truth of the matter is that you make the most money when there is anxiety, denial, fear, desperation, panic, right? Despondent, so depression, right? So you make the most money when the worst things in the market and the world happen. That's just how it is. That's how the market is. So you have to play your cards right. You have to be educated on how you can manage this market and how you can prepare for the market and what's to come. Now, I have no idea what's to come, honestly. I mean, I know that it's, something's going to happen, right? But I don't have any idea what's going to happen, right? All I know is what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to prepare, right, for exactly what it says on this JPEG. You see, we're in between anxiety and denial. It says, should I be a long-term investor? Right? And why would I make that mistake? Right? So you want to be kind of in that area right there where you're thinking, okay, now what are my goals? What is my my end game during this crisis? All right. So what I thought I would point out to you guys is, there it goes. This is actually, I pulled this chart out of a Redfin article that I read, and I thought that this is a great chart to kind of show you where the headspace is of where people are thinking, or what people are thinking right now. Okay, so the chart says, what kind of impact do you expect the coronavirus to have on the housing market? This is a survey. They just did this survey just a couple of days ago. It's a very new survey. So what kind of impact do you expect the coronavirus to have on the housing market, right? Bad, no effect, or good. All right. So as you can see, 40% or almost 41% of the population think that the market is going to be bad. There's going to be something bad that happens in the market. And then there's a lot of us that are speculating and say, nothing's going to happen. Maybe it'll stabilize a little bit. It might change a little bit, but after a few months, it's just going to go back to being the same, right? And then there's some of us that say, this is a good thing. This is actually a good thing. So actually in the chat box right now, please tell me which one of those would you say honestly to yourself? Is something bad going to happen? There's going to be no effect at all? Or is there going to be something good going to happen, right? Right? All right, so good. So I see Michael saying bad, Joseph saying good, Jackie's saying good, Janet's saying good. Okay, good. So a lot of you guys are saying good, honest. Okay, honestly, okay, good. So where we should be as investors is we should be in the good section, right? We should be thinking this is a good time for us, right? This is a good time. This is not a bad time for us. This is not a bad time, all right? This is a good time. I'm going to show you why it's going to be a good time and how you can prepare for it to be a good time as well too, okay? So let's just keep in mind that we don't want to be in the population where people think this is a bad thing, right? We want to be in with the population that this is going to be a good thing. And investors should be thinking this is going to be a good thing. This is a great opportunity. Whatever's going to, even if it just stabilizes, even if prices just go down a little bit, even if I don't have a lot of money right now, but I know how to get a hold of money right now, this is going to be a good thing. Okay, this is going to be a good thing. So let's all just kind of keep that in mind, that this is not a downturn is not a bad thing. A downturn is a good thing. It corrects the market and it gives us as investors opportunities to invest in the market. All right. Okay. Makes sense? Okay. So now, what is the single most important thing that you should be doing right now in the market? So in the investor world, so you can prepare for the market, all right? And I wrote down what I think are the 5 most important things that you should be doing right now. Okay, so number 1, you've got to be ready for what's coming, whatever that is. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea, but all I know is you've got to be ready. So I personally feel like you should be getting your credit in order. You should be getting what all the lenders want in your credit. You want 640 or higher, right? And try to just, try to be good on your payments. So don't take advantage of not being able to pay your mortgage. Say, oh yeah, we're gonna, it'll be okay. They're letting the mortgage slide for a month or two, so we can just go ahead and do that. Like, let's stay on top of our bills. Let's get our credit in order, right? And let's try to figure out where we can get money. Where we can get money. Where can we find money? All right. So as everybody knows, April Crosley is speaking on Wednesday night about finding private money for the South Atlanta RIA. And I highly recommend that you are on that call, because she is probably one of the best people in the country to be talking about private lenders. She's almost completely privately funded, and she's going to teach you how she finds money. And that's what she's been teaching for like 5 years now to people. So she knows what she's talking about. All right. So you want to make sure you're on that call. You want to make sure that you're getting your credit ready. You want to get your credit in order, talk to them, do credit repair if you have to, because look, if you start the credit repair now, it takes what, 6 months for your credit to get all fixed or whatever it needs to do. It depends on how, good or bad your credit is, but I mean, anywhere from like 3 to 6 months or whatever it takes. And then that way, when this all blows over in the next 3 or 4 or 5 months, you'll be ready to be able to talk to lenders and borrow money, or talk to private lenders. Okay, so get your credit in order. If you have any cash, make sure you get that in order. Or for instance, like I just rolled over, all my money over to a solo 401k, and we're getting all that in order. I've talked to all my private lenders and let them know, like, okay, so over the course of the next couple of months, I'm going to push heavily on trying to find properties to buy. Are you willing to work with me on that? I've talked to all my lenders about that and made sure they're all okay with it. And then on top of that, you need to be talking to your hard money lenders, all the hard money lenders out there. You need to be talking to them, and you need to be discussing with them how to prepare for this, right? And so what's going to happen with your lenders, right, is you're going to see some lenders fall off, right? So brokers are not going to make, a lot of brokers aren't going to make it, right? Because the reason why is because that fee in the middle, it's going to be too tight, right? That, because what happens is you have like a hard money lender, and then you have a buyer, and then you have like a broker in the middle, and they're going to charge a fee on top of the lenders charging fees, and sometimes that just is too tight. It's not. So you're going to see a lot of brokers falling out. So my personal opinion is to talk directly to like true hard money lenders or private money lenders, whatever you want to call them, the ones that have been around for a while, not any of them that are just starting up or anything like this. Okay. So that's my opinion. Also, another thing that you need to be doing is you need to be learning to invest in real estate right now. So if this is your very first webinar, tell me if it's your first webinar or not. Have you ever been on any other webinars? If it's your first one, let me know. If you're a newbie, say I'm a newbie, I have no idea what's going on. But now is the time to really, to educate yourself and learn how to invest in real estate so that you can take advantage of it, okay? And you want to join a community of like-minded individuals to keep you on track. Now, some of you guys I know are going to be from out of state, out of Atlanta. You may be in a different state or a different city, which is okay. I own the South Atlanta RIA, so all my peeps, I know they're on here and supporting me right now. But if you're not in that area, make sure that you find a local RIA that you can join and be a part of. Because what's going to happen is that fear is going to set in, where you're going to become unmotivated, or life's going to take that course, or that show on Netflix is just going to take over, and you're going to get sucked in. Believe me, because I've been in the process of watching that stupid Tiger King or whatever show, and I got sucked into it. Anyway, so you want to like not get sucked into anything, get into those TVs, and you want to just focus on learning and just make it a priority, right? Okay, and join a RIA and have this community around you that can support you, okay? All right. Okay, so now what I wanted to go over is the challenges of virtual wholesaling, or the challenges of wholesaling, okay? So when you're starting out and you don't know what wholesaling is, and you're starting out and you're just like, I get that I'm something in the middle, I'm a broker, right? The biggest challenges for virtual wholesaling, and you can overcome these if you know how to overcome this, are things like, how do I pick the right market, right? In nationwide or even locally, right? How do I implement correct marketing strategies for today, right? So the marketing strategies that we were doing over the past couple of months or the past couple of years, are those still relevant, and what should we be focusing on right now, right? And we'll get into that a little bit deeper into the webinar. How do I build a buyer's list? If I'm, if I'm in a different state, how do I build this buyer's list? Even if I'm here, how do I build these buyer's lists, right? And then how can I create my LLC? How do I structure it? How do I do that? So these are kind of the things that are going to come up, and I'm sure these are types of questions come up. If you guys have specific questions on your own for challenges, like what are you thinking in your mind right now? Like what are some challenges, like virtual wholesaling? What does that bring up? What kind of ideas and challenges? So these are some of the things that we're going to go over today, right? Some other challenges that we can go over, we'll be going over today, is like, how do you find motivated sellers, right? How do you close a deal when it's like when you can't go to the house, right? How do you make an offer when you can't go like to the house and see the buyer? How do you do that? How do you find cash buyers when you can't go and network, right? So the South Atlanta area is now virtual. So how are we going to find cash buyers? So see, these are some of the challenges that I was thinking about when I started to think about how I'm going to do this. And I know you guys are thinking about this too. So if you have any other challenges, point them out. So good. Will says, where do you find a closing attorney? Awesome. We're going to get into that as well too. All right. So there's a lot of challenges that are out there. I get that, okay? But these are all things that you can totally overcome if you educate yourself on just how to do it, number one, and then number two, you actually do it. You take action and you do it, okay? So let's get into that. So what I wanted to tell you guys right now is that you are in the right place at the right time. Keep that in mind. You are in the right place at the right time. Okay. So I'm going to help you to get past your fears and to teach you how to wholesale and virtual wholesale. But on top of that, now is the time to be learning how to do this, right? Now is the time to educate yourself on how to do any type of real estate transaction, but especially virtual wholesaling. So over the course of the next couple of slides, what I'm going to be going over is like the top 3 mistakes, right? The top 3 mistakes in like what virtual wholesalers are doing right now, the challenges of virtual wholesaling, how to virtual wholesale. We talked about the single most important thing that you can be doing right now. And then what we're going to be talking about is what's next. What can we do to keep moving forward? All right. So real fast, I didn't introduce myself. So I just wanted to introduce myself to everybody that's out there. And just let you know who I am. If you don't know who I am, I'm Stacy Rossetti. I have been investing in real estate for 10 years now. I bought my first property in 2010 and just been going nuts ever since then. I've done every single type of transaction that you can imagine, okay? I've done wholesaling, rehabs, I've done owner financing, all different kinds of creative deal structuring techniques. I've rental properties. I've owned commercial buildings. I have storage facilities, and I've wholesaled every single one of those types of properties that I just mentioned. I've wholesaled them as well. Okay, so that's me in a nutshell. That's my family, my husband Pete and my daughter Lillian. We live in a house in the mountains up here in the North Georgia mountains. It's very quiet, nobody's around, but we're kind of private people actually. So that's how we are. And that's another thing is I live in the mountains. You know, it takes me 2 hours just to drive to Atlanta. Like, I'm not going to be driving to Atlanta to go look at properties all the time. So in my mind, I was thinking, how can I do that without like having to drive all the way down there? And that's how I started virtual wholesaling. Okay. Now you've already seen this this slide before, but I wanted to show you it again. All right. And remember, I said I got into the market on the optimism side. That's where I came in, and the hope optimism is right when I came in. And I just rocked and rolled for many, many years, had a blast flipping homes, got all the way to the top of the mountain and was just like, okay, now what? Because now I know there's a downturn coming. And I'm the type of person, I like to follow, I like to follow the market. I like to follow what the cycle is. And I try to keep up on how the cycle is moving, so that I can be ahead. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was like, Stacy, she's like, it seems like you kind of knew this was coming. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, she said, you know, she's like 3 years ago, you started to buy storage facility units. Right. So she's like, so now you have like all these buy and holds. And she said, and then on top of that, last year, like you sold everything that you owned and you moved into a tiny house in the mountains, like where nobody's around. She's like, how did you know this was happening? And I was like, no, I didn't know. But what I did know is that the market is changing. And I knew that this was going to be coming. And I wanted to prepare myself for it. All right. And that's exactly what you guys should be focusing on as well, too. Preparing for any downturns that come or upturns. Like when it comes back up to the next hope and optimism, guess what I'll be doing? I'll be doing this. I'll be buying ugly houses, right? And I'll be turning them in to pretty houses, right? So, I mean, I'm not done rehabbing. It's just that I'm not rehabbing anymore that much, because I went back and I looked at the cycle and I started to analyze what was coming and what I would need to be prepared for. Okay. So as you can see, I've done rehabs, I've done all kinds of stuff. This is my favorite thing to do now, is to find storage facilities. I just found this storage facility. I just got a notice of this storage facility. It was an abandoned storage facility. And I drove over to take a look at it and see what it looks like. And so this is a new one that I've been trying to get a hold of the owners for. And this is a buy and hold. This is what it is. It's a buy and hold. I don't buy houses. There's nothing wrong with buying houses. I just buy storage facilities instead, right? And in the downturn, this is what you want to be focusing on. And then as a wholesaler, you need to be focusing on buy and holds that you can wholesale. All right. So in this market, everybody's going to want to buy and holds, right? So this is what you focus on. All right. There's not going to be a lot of rehabbing going on in the market. Okay. There's going to be more buy and hold. So now you look for houses or properties that could be buy and holds. I'm okay with even buying commercial property right now and holding on to that. Right. So I'm looking for commercial property as well, as storage facilities. So why trust me? All right. I've been working in the real estate market for almost 10 years now, right? I've done over 100 rehabs in 5 years. I've completed several hundred transactions in the last 10 years. And I've taught hundreds of students just like you over the last 5 years. There's a lot of people on the webinar right now that have been to a lot of my workshops. And the best thing is that I love teaching others how to make money in real estate. All right. So this is why I'm appreciative that you are on this webinar tonight. So wholesaling 101. Let's get into that and how we can learn how to virtual wholesale. So I believe that wholesaling is a gateway drug. What's a gateway drug? All right, a gateway drug is a drug that gets you started, and then it really opens the door to other drugs that you should get into, right? And real estate investing is just like drugs. I mean, essentially, I'm so addicted to real estate investing, I will never ever be able to stop. Now, do I want to rehab right now? No, not so much, right? But I do love now storage facilities and buying wholes. So what I love about wholesaling is that it's if you can apply wholesaling to your company, and you can learn how to wholesale within your city or virtually outside of your city or outside of your state. Essentially, wholesaling is the basis of what your company is going to become. Okay, so it's going to open up the opportunities for you to be able to do all different types of transactions. And the one thing that I love about wholesaling is I love creative deal structuring. All right, creative deal structuring. And when you learn how to wholesale, I mean, wholesaling is not easy. It's not easy. And everybody out there, all the gurus and everybody that's saying that, they're lying to you. Okay, they're totally lying to you, because it's not easy. It's not. There's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of things that you have to do. Has anybody here wholesaled anything and said, hell yeah, that was super easy? You know, if you guys have, you tell me in the chat. But I'm telling you, to get it started, to get all of your marketing done, to learn how to do everything, it's just not easy, right? It's really not. There's a lot of moving parts. So the basis of wholesaling is setting up the foundation of your business so that you can become a transaction engineer. All right. So when you learn how to wholesale, basically what happens is you learn how to make offers, and you learn how to, and when you learn how to make offers, you don't learn how to just only make a cash offer. You learn how to do 4 or 5 different offers, okay? And then on top of that, when you, not only do you get to make offers, you have to be good at negotiations. You have to be good at closing deals, all right? So what that means is that you have to be able to connect to the seller, and you have to convince them to sell you, some schmuck off the street, to sell their house to you, right? You have to be able to convince them to do this, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's not easy. Okay, so anybody that tells you that is not telling you the truth, and it takes money. So if people are telling you can do it for free, it's not true. It costs money. All right. What I also love about wholesaling and virtual wholesaling, you don't have to go out and see anybody to do it. All right. Now, you have to have a boots on the ground person to go and take the pictures, but you really don't have to meet the sellers. There are a lot of wholesalers out there, I'm telling you right now, that are virtual wholesaling. And you're going to hear more and more and more about this over the next couple of months. I've been talking to some pretty big investors nationwide, and I'm telling you, virtual wholesaling is going to get even bigger now, okay? Because this is the reason why, is because we can't go out, we can't meet the sellers, we can't see them face to face, right? But you can still wholesale, all right? You just can't go out there and do it. And we're going to talk about how to do that in just a second. So if you've been to any of my workshops, you know that I always teach in departments. Your company is set up in departments. So as a wholesaler, your company is set up in 5 different departments, okay? You have your office admin department, your marketing department, finance department, acquisitions department, and liquidations department. So we're going to get into all 5 of those departments and what you have to do in each of them, okay? So if you have your notes ready, if you're taking notes, this is when you really want to take notes, because I'm going to go through this pretty quickly so that we get all the information that you need. Every step-by-step process for each of these departments will be told to you, so you know exactly what to do from A to Z in each of these departments, right? And what I tell my students in all my masterminds is one of their first homeworks is that they have to create an organizational chart, right? So basically at the top of the organizational chart, there's like you, right? There's a box with like you, and you're the president, you're the CEO, you're the director, whatever you want to be, right? And then you have the departments underneath you as a chart, right? You have your office admin, marketing, finance, acquisitions, and liquidations. And you just have 5 departments underneath you. And in the very beginning, when you start this, it's going to be you in all of your departments, right? But as you grow, you get to change your organizational chart, and you get to take, okay, so now I actually have an acquisitions person, and I can scratch that out and put like Charlie or whatever their name is, right? And that's when I started to grow my business. I loved changing my organizational chart, and I'd be like, yeah, I get to update this one. I don't have to do that box anymore. I don't have to do that department anymore, right? So that was kind of one of my fun things. But here are your departments. Now let's dig in. Everybody's got notes ready to go. Let's go through this. Okay. So your office admin, these are the things that you have to get done in the very beginning to get your business set up so that you can wholesale, okay? And this is if you're wholesaling within your city or if you're wholesaling outside of your city, okay? You have to have your phone set up, right? So you have to have a separate line from your own personal line. You do not want to have your personal line as the same number, because if somebody calls in, you're going to be answering, it might be your grandma, and then the next call might be like somebody with your somebody trying to sell you a house, and you can't always be like, oh, diamond in the rough, this is Stacy, oh hey grandma. No, you can't do that, right? So what you want to do is just go to Google Voice and set up a phone line, a separate phone line, and then just change it so that when that Google Voice is forwarded to your number, it comes up as like your business line, right? And then whenever that rings, that's somebody calling you. Or change your ringtone or whatever you want to do. Some of my students put a different ringtone or whatever. Okay. Another thing that you want to do is you need to be able to go electronic, right? You have to be able to manage things from your phone, especially when you start getting into the acquisitions department, right? Because you're not going to be the one that's really doing the acquisitions. If you're out of state, if it's out of state, you're going to have somebody else that's helping you to do this. So you want to be as electronic as you possibly can so that you guys can communicate and exchange files and things like that. So that's why I put down Google Drive. Whatever I'm talking about, I'm just talking about like just being in the cloud. So OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever you want. I don't know what all of them are. Box something, I can't remember anyway, so I don't know all of them. I just use Google Drive, that's what I use. So but you want to be as electronic as possible, and you want to have it set up so that you can share folders with whoever else is on your team. And as you see at the very bottom, I have building your team. All right. So the thing with wholesaling is that there are so many different moving parts. You cannot do all of them. All right. You just can't. All right. So what you want to do is you got to build your team up. All right. So somebody said before, what about hiring an attorney or a title company? You have to figure out, especially if you're deciding to go into a different state to do wholesaling, which one you're going to be doing. Are you going to be, if you're going to be in Alabama, or if you're going to be in North Carolina or Kentucky, do they close in a title company, or do they close with an attorney? Okay. And so then once you figure out what they do, then you have to start going out and looking for investor friendly title companies or attorneys. You don't want to go out and just find like a regular closing attorney. Like when I first started, my very first attorney that I used was like an attorney that had never like worked with an investor before, like rarely had worked with investors before at all. And so like I had to literally teach the attorney how to do a lot of different things, right? We had an owner financing deal, and they just had no idea what they were doing and stuff. So not all attorneys or title companies are created equally, is what I'm trying to say. So make sure that you interview them and ask them, like, how many investors do you work with? Or better yet, when you join your RIA, I'm sure your RIA has either vendors that are attorneys or title companies, or or somebody in the RIA has like a recommendation for you, right? So we, like in the South Atlanta RIA, we have like a private Facebook group where everybody gets on and chats with each other. And then if they need any referral or anything like that, and they just go into the chat and just ask, like, where can I find an attorney? You're gonna need to build your team. You're also going to need like either a home inspector or a contractor or both on your team, right? Because you're going to have to figure out, or a boots on the ground, like a boots on the ground person that can kind of do all those, right? So you can either split that up and like just have them all separate, right? Or you can find somebody that kind of encompasses that. But essentially a boots on the ground person is going to be somebody that like is going to be able to go and look at the houses for you, right? And take pictures for you and look around and take like, don't just take a couple of pictures, right? He's like, you say like, I need 100 pictures of this house, you know, or something like this. And then, you know, and that person needs to be able to understand repair estimates, or they need to, you need to have a contractor that can go and look at the house and give you a repair estimate. And you don't, like, as a wholesaler, you don't have to be as like repair estimate-y as like, you know, like everything to the T, but essentially you need like a realistic, you know, number, you know, for your repair estimates, okay? So that you can calculate and do your deal analysis. And then you need, and then like, I always have a home inspector go out and look at my properties, and it costs a couple of $100s to do that. I don't do it until after I put it under contract, you know, and then I know for sure, like, okay, this one we definitely are going to get, like, you know, we're going to check it. And we'll go over that in just a minute, how kind of I organize that. But I always have an inspector look at my properties as well too. And then, you know, things like a realtor, having a realtor on your team is always good because they can run comps for you or check the comps. And then even on the sell side, if you need to sell one of your properties, if you want to list it on the MLS, they can do that for you as well too. All right. And then let's see, and then finally you have to set up your LLC, right? So you just have to either do it yourself by going online and figuring it out, or for instance, I use Legal Shield is what I use in order to set my LLCs up, or get, you know, hire somebody, an attorney, to put your LLCs up and to create your LLCs and do that for you, right? And those usually cost like about, you know, maybe $500 or something like that. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do, and they'll create your operating agreement and stuff like that. But essentially, you really need to, I personally feel a lot of investors out there will say like, oh, you don't really need an LLC for your first couple of deals. I would never do a deal in my name. All right. I would never do a deal in my name. I always have to have an LLC to protect myself just in case it went sour. All right. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, so Robin is asking legal what? I said Legal Shield. Legal Shield. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people. Wilson sells Legal Shield. If you sell Legal Shield, put your information into the chat so people can talk to you. Essentially, what a Legal Shield is it's just like it's a company that has like, it's like a group of lawyers essentially, and they just give you free advice. It's like all things legal. I think it costs around like maybe $40 a month. I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's Wilson. He said go to 5talentplan.com and you can get information from him, and essentially, and then what they do is they charge, I think, like $150 to set your company up as well. So you have to pay $40 a month in order to get Legal Shield. But they'll set your company up for like, I think, $150. So talk to Wilson or anybody else that's on here that offers Legal Shield. I use Legal Shield is what I do, but you know, it's up to you if you want to use an attorney. I've gotten my accountant to do it. I've done attorneys to do it. I've spent thousands of dollars setting up companies. And then after a while, it's just like, you know, I'm just going to do this. Like, I just want to pay like $150 and just have somebody, you know, just have Legal Shield do it. Okay. If you have any questions on any of the slides, just post them in there. Okay, good. I think I see some stuff here. Edwin says he used NCH. Oh no, he did not use NCH. Okay, so yeah. Okay, what else? I see a question. What do you when contractors okay, yeah. So we're gonna get into all the repair estimates and stuff in just a minute. So just hang tight on that question. That's a good question there. And I think that's it. Good. Okay, awesome. Okay, next one. Your next department is, click over. Okay, marketing, your marketing department. All right, so now you need to pick a market. All right, so if you want a virtual wholesale, I mean, first of all, if you want a wholesale, you can just wholesale in your own city. All right, I mean, you really could just wholesale in your own city. But if you want to wholesale like outside of the city, you need to figure out, I mean, outside of your living area, you need to figure out which markets are what you're going to be good in. My personal opinion, all right, is that you should be focusing, if you really want a virtual wholesale, you should be focusing on areas that you know somebody that could be a boots on the ground person for you. And the boots on the ground person doesn't go and meet the sellers. A boots on the ground person is going to just go look at the houses, take pictures of the house, and be kind of like that, you know, that person that's going to be, you know, there looking at the property for you. Still do not have to meet the seller, right? Because when you talk on the phone to the seller, right, that's when you're going to get all the information from the seller. You're going to say, you know, you're going to, and then the seller's going to say, well, you know, we can't meet, like we can't meet right now, so like now what do we do? And you're going to say like, well, I have a person that goes out and takes a look at your property, but they're not going to do that until we have it under contract. Right. So first we need to figure out if we're going to have a price that we can negotiate on, get it under contract. If we can get it under contract, then I will have my boots on the ground person go and take a look at the property and try to figure out what, you know, if what you're telling me is true based on what we're going over. Okay. So that's, we'll get more into that in just a second. But essentially, you want to pick a market that you know you can find a boots on the ground person. And I highly recommend that when you first start out, that you pick a market where you know the boots on the ground person. Like, just don't go into like some random city and then like post on Craigslist like, hey, I need a boots on the ground person, because this is just like some random person. What you want to do is you want to find like a family, maybe you have a family member in like another area that you could say like, hey, like I want to, will you be my boots on the ground person, go look at these properties, and just see if you can partner up that way and see if they'll help you to do this. And then you can just pay them like a cut out of whatever you make. Okay. And so that's my personal opinion. Another thing about the market is that you need to really look at the market, or look at the markets and see what's happening, right? So you know, and especially now over the course of the next couple of months, what I will be doing is I will be really looking at the markets and trying to figure out where I can do my marketing. So for instance, I already know that I'll be focusing on Austin, Texas. I have family in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from Austin, Texas. But the thing with Austin that I love is that over the past like 5 years, the market has just been ridiculous. Does anybody know Austin? Let me know if you know Austin, the market in Austin. But I mean, the prices for houses are just like double the price that they should be. I mean, it's because too many people want to live there, and then the prices are just going up, and it's too expensive. And when a city is like that, when a city is so oversaturated and growing so fast and prices are so overinflated, right? You know that city is going to bust. You just know it, right? And the thing is with Austin is that it took quite a while for that city to come back, right? So Atlanta, I remember I was doing like flips and doing all my stuff in Atlanta, and I have a realtor friend in Austin. And she just was like, the market is still slow. The market is still slow. And it took years and years for them to come back with the market. And then all of a sudden it came back and it just took off, and it was just like nuts and crazy, like even worse than Atlanta was. And I just know that I know that market so well that I know I'm going to be investing in that market, right? So you want to kind of think about markets like that. You want to think about like, where are family members, right, that I can utilize, and then which areas do you think are like, you know, are going to be like areas that could possibly bust just because of things like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and then also another thing, like for instance, like Alabama right now is like, and also even like South Carolina and North Carolina are awesome markets. I mean, they're just doing really, really well. Alabama has great rates. I mean, great prices for houses. Houses are still cheaper. You're gonna remember now, in a market like a downturn, people are going to be focusing on cheaper houses. It's going to be hard to sell houses that are over 300,000, 250 to 300,000. It's going to be really hard to sell houses that are expensive. Okay. So you want to focus on like areas that are going to have cheaper houses, first-time home buyers. So really kind of look around and see what markets you think you'd be interested in. If you have any suggestions of markets, put them into the chat as well too. Let me know if you're thinking in your mind, yeah, I really think that this could be a good market, or yeah, I have some family in blah, 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 so I'm going to focus on this area. Put it in the chat and see. And Wilson's asking what cities. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And honestly, Kristen, I have no idea about Michigan at all. I'm actually going to be up in Michigan in the next couple of months. So but I'm not 100% sure about the market in Michigan. So what you have to do is you have to do your own research. Number one, do you have a boots on the ground person that you can contact? And then number two, what areas in Michigan have been building, going crazy, and now it's just oversaturated and the market's going to slow down, okay? And then let's see what else. Wilson says Montgomery, Anniston, Birmingham, awesome. All these I think are all going to be good. I think Alabama is going to be really good. Charleston is going to be really good, I think. Cleveland is definitely going to, I think any place in Ohio I think will be good. Yeah, so Donna says she always wants to be near the beach. I know, I'm looking at beachfront property right now too. So yes, and we have family in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel-Sea. That's all going to be good areas. I mean, that's all. I think anywhere in the southeast except Florida. Florida, I really have a feeling that Florida is going to be hit hard. I mean, Florida's always hit. I feel sorry for Florida. You know, why do they always hit? New York, Florida, California, Washington. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but look at where the coronavirus is hitting really hard. Okay, and just look at those markets. Like I saw somebody say Baltimore, Maryland. Maryland is having a rough time with the coronavirus. All right, so kind of do your research on that respect and see where you think these markets could be. Yes, Milwaukee, Central Florida. Exactly, right? What about Detroit? All right, Detroit. What do you think about Detroit, right? Because I know a lot of investors are going up there and doing some investing. It'd be very interesting to see what happens with Detroit, because you know that city was having a rough time, a really rough time. Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be like a destitute city or anything like that. Like Austin is like a thriving city. I mean, it's a really good thriving city, but it's just like oversaturated, like in California, man. I feel like they're going to be hurt. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be doing some, you're going to be able, it's never going to be like super cheap in California, but I feel like it's just so expensive over there. They got to be corrected, right? Okay, real fast, let's keep moving on. Vegas is always hit. Yeah, Vegas always has issues too. Okay, so now also I want you to take in consideration the difference between motivated and unmotivated sellers, okay? So what do you think is going to be the most prevalent sellers right now selling their houses, right? So the difference between motivated and unmotivated sellers, unmotivated sellers are going to be like landlords and probate, inherited properties, free and clear properties, okay? So they're going to all still be good to talk to. Why? Because they're going to have like landlords are going to be great lists, because that's like everybody wants to buy rentals right now, you know, so that's kind of the thing. And then the unmotivated sellers are the ones that you really have to build rapport with. You have to talk to for a long time. It takes a while to close, right? But a lot of them are going to be like rentals, right? A lot of them you can make into rentals, because you remember you're going to be doing turnkey virtual wholesaling. You're going to be your end buyer. You may have some rehabbers that are end buyers, but most of your end buyers are going to be like buy and hold people, right? Okay, and then motivated sellers, all right, are going to be, this is going to be the hottest, I think the hottest thing right now, right? It's going to be 30, 60, 90-day lists, and foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, you know, so bankruptcies, divorce, this like tax liens, these are all things that are going to come up. These are all motivated sellers, right? So, and Deanna's on here, Deanna Britt. So if you want to list from her, you can always get your list. But she's only, I think you're only in Georgia maybe, but if you're in Georgia, you can get a list from her. But if you're in a different state and you're listening, by the way, where is everybody from? I wanted to know that. I forgot to ask. But So if you're in a different state, what you need to do is you need to find a list broker. You need to find list brokers within your state. I highly recommend not going to like List Source and getting a list, because they're just always a waste of money. You want to get like good lists is what you want to do, right? And so it costs a little bit more money to get a list. You have to find a list broker. I have a list broker. Her name is Karen Anderson. And does anybody have her phone number? If y'all have her phone number, put it in the chat maybe. Actually, I think I can find it right here on my phone. Hang on. And I'll put that here so you guys can talk to her too. She's a list broker. She's who I've used honestly for like 10 years now. Karen Anderson is, what's her name? Oh no, Karen Collingwood. Okay. Type this in, somebody. It's 818, because I don't know how to do that. 818-470-3581. 818-470-3581. So somebody type that in so everybody can call Karen, let her know that I told you. And she's a list broker for the entire United States. She can get you a list anywhere in the country, literally. That's all she does. And she works only, like, mainly with investors, so she can kind of go over that with you. And so just let her know that you talked to me, and I told her you need to know the difference between a motivated and an unmotivated seller. And right now Stacy's saying like motivated sellers are the list that you really want to focus on, because those are the ones that are going to be coming up. So for instance, like in Austin, Texas, I'm getting a motivated seller list. A 30, 60, 90 day list is what I'm getting. And I'm going to just start sending letters out. And it does take a couple of weeks to get a list. So think about that, all right? This is not like, oh, go and call Karen and talk to her and she's going to get you a list the next day, right? It's going to take like a couple of weeks. So you want to talk to her immediately now so that you get your list in the next couple of weeks so that you can get it into a mail house and get it started to be mailing out. And that takes a couple of weeks, right? So like by the time all this blows over, your letters can be like bam, 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 just start going out like right now. Okay. And then another thing I wanted to point out real fast too was the online marketing, right? So please don't discourage online marketing. I love online marketing. You guys know, because you know me, because I'm always marketing online, right? And I'm talking about things like, we went over this actually in my mastermind. The last class for my beginner's mastermind was online marketing, and it's you can go like you can contact like carrot.com or zbuyer.com, okay? And then they will help you to get some leads as well too. They're more expensive leads, but they're targeted just for you. That's the thing that I love about online marketing, is when you do online marketing, those are your leads and only your leads, and nobody else has those but you. All right. And I put on here marketing budget. Everybody needs to understand that in order to wholesale, virtually or not, it's going to take money. You have to have money to do marketing. That's it. You have to have marketing to do money. The more marketing you do, the more leads you're going to get. The more leads you're going to get, the more deals you're going to close. Okay. Acquisitions. All right. Running. So now we're going into acquisitions. Acquisitions means like, how do you acquire the property? All right. So running, you have to be able to run comps. I personally use Privy to run comps. I mean, I'm not doing any affiliate marketing or anything like that. I use Privy, but you can also Privy is Privy, if anybody knows, if anybody wants to know. And then, or you can partner with a real estate agent and have them run comps for you. You know, some of the agents though, they just like, you know, they get, after a while when you start putting all these offers in, they just get bored, you know. That's why I just use Privy, honestly. And then you could just run your own comps, right? You don't have to rely on anybody else. And then you need to be able to do a repair analysis. And we talked about this a little bit before, but essentially you have to be able to come up with a repair estimate. So if you don't know how to do this, essentially you can calculate like a per square foot number, right? A per square foot number, anywhere from I would say right now it's going to be from $45 to $85 a square foot, depending on what needs to get done to the property, right? $45 meaning like hardly anything needs to be done to the property. It's looking pretty good. Maybe just like, you know, some paint and you know, updating and stuff. all the way to $85 a square foot, where it's like it's a piece of crap and you're gonna have to gut the whole thing and start all over. And when it's done, it's gonna be this beautiful house with like beautiful finishes on it. All right. And then all the stuff in between. All right. So anywhere from $45 to $85 a square foot. Now that's like a long spread. I get that. It's a very big spread. But once you start doing a couple of them, you start getting more of an idea of like, yeah, this one's, once you start looking at pictures and stuff, you're like, okay, yeah, I can tell this doesn't really need that much work. Or then some pictures are like, crap, oh my God, this place is a disaster, right? So I say, if it's a disaster, you want to be like $65 to $85. If it's not so bad, it's a $45 to $65 rehab, okay? And Darlene's on here, and she'll give pre-foreclosure leads in Georgia. Awesome. Hey, Darlene, I'm so glad you're on. Thank you for coming and listening to me. All right, cool. So, okay, so repair analysis. I love the 5,000 rule. All right, that's my thing. If you know me, you know I teach the 5,000 rule, which is like, need a new roof? Oh, it's $5,000. This is for like a typical house, like 1,200 to like 1,800 square feet or something. You know, where it's not like a crazy roof, but like, okay, 5,000 for the roof, 5,000 for the cabinets, and 5,000 for the countertop, 5,000 to redo the master bathroom, 5,000 for the flooring, 5,000 for the tile, 5,000 for the lighting, 5,000 for all the subs, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, 5,000 to re-side the house, something like this. So I kind of use my 5,000 rule to give me a quick estimate as well too, but you have to make sure you calculate everything up, right? So you can always do the 5,000 rule, or the best thing to do is just to get a contractor out there to take a look at it and give you a quote. You know what I'm saying? So just, find a contractor that could be your boots on the ground person, and be like, hey, like this is, and then even if you have to pay them, say, look, I'll pay you like, $100 to go out and do due diligence on the house. And there are people out there that actually do due diligence on houses, right? So like you can pay them to go out and look at the house and pay them like a couple $100s, and they'll go out and like come up with a repair estimate and take pictures for you and stuff like that, okay? And the way that you can find that is really just getting involved in your RIA and asking, like, in every RIA should have a private Facebook group. Like the Southland RIA, we have a private Facebook group. And so you just get into the private Facebook group and say, hey, like, do you know anybody that does due diligence? I would like to hire somebody to go out and look at a couple of houses. And then some people will be like, yeah, go check this guy out or whatever, right? So that's the power of being in a community, right? And then a deal analysis, right? So you want to make sure that you can run the numbers, right? Run the numbers on your property, and you want to be, you want to try to be around like a 15% ROI. Anything that for the end buyer, right? You want to be like at a double digits. In the end, like I like to be around 15%, because in the end, after you do your rehab and like everything screws up and you have your contingencies, you're making like 10 to 12% on a house. Now, if I can make more, awesome, right? But you as the wholesaler, you're having to look at the end buyer and what they want, and they want double digits is what they want. All right. So you need to make sure you run your numbers to get double digits. All right. We talked about the boots on the ground, and we talked about making offers. When you're making offers, all right, you want to come up with not just one offer. All right. Everybody just does one offer. All right. To say, oh yeah, I can just pay like whatever, $50,000 cash. And it's like, everybody does that. So you need to be thinking outside the box and trying to come up with 3 to 5 different offers. All right. 3 to 5 different offers. So it could be a subject to, it could be owner financing, it could be lease option, it could be deed of lieu of the property, it could be whatever, it could be cash for keys, it could be any type of property, any type of an offer. But your goal as a wholesaler, remember, is to become a virtual a transaction engineer. So that means that whatever comes across your plate, you're going to know exactly what to do with it, right? You're either going to take the deal and keep it for yourself, or you're going to hand it off to somebody else, or you're going to refer it to somebody else, or you're going to partner with somebody else, right? So you've got to be able to know what to do with all these transactions. And I'm not getting into all that right now, but you just have to know. And another thing that I tell my students is every call that comes in, every call, no matter what, make an offer. Every call, even if it's an offer that's just ridiculous, make an offer, right? And that's what my students do, is just make an offer on every lead. All right, finance. Okay, so And Will says, do you make an offer on the first call? So essentially what I do is I like to, I mean, when you're on the phone, you're going to be talking to the seller. All right. And you're going to be asking them the typical questions. All right. So you're going to be asking like, okay, what's the address? Give me your information. What repairs do you have on the property? How is, what are you saying needs to get done to the property? Blah, blah, blah. And they tell you, and then you say, okay, so like, now what do you think this property is worth? Like, what do what number are you looking for? Okay. And you don't have to really ask them a lot of questions, but you're all going to have to talk to them, right? Because they want to like talk to you. They just do, right? And then after you kind of get as much information as you possibly can, you're going to say, okay, so I'm going to have to go and do some research on this. Like, can you give me 24 hours? A lot of people just make an offer right then and there. Once you get really, really good at it, you can make offers. Man, there's a point when I was just making blind offers. I didn't even go out and make, I didn't even go look at the house. I was just like making offers all the time, right? But when you're first starting out, you can't do this. You just can't. You got to figure out, you got to figure out what your numbers are, right? So you talk on the phone and you say, look, I'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. And I'm going to, I'm going to come up with a couple of different offers. I'm going to offer you at least 3, if not up to 5 different offers. That's going to pique their attention to be like, whoa, what? 3 to 5 offers? Awesome. All right. So then you go off and do your thing and you try to run your numbers, do your deal analysis, and you call your boots on the ground person, be like, yo, we got a house, dude, go out and look at it. And then they go out, take pictures, do their thing. They got to be quick. They got to be quick about it, right? Because you said 24 to 48 hours, you're going to be back and making an offer, right? So they can't be all lollygagging or whatever. Okay, that's kind of how you do it. And then you call back and then you make an offer. And then what I also do is I always email the offer and I mail the offer to them. Just even on the phone, if they're like no or yes, I still email the offer to them and I mail them the offer. Just in case at the bottom of the offer, it says, all right, you may not be interested right now, but if you are interested later, keep this just in case. Here's my offer. I'll be around. Call me whenever, even if it's in 5 years, just give me a call. You put a little PS, right? That's your little PS at the bottom of your letter and bottom of your email. Okay. So finance. Now, as a wholesaler, you really don't have to have money, right? Because you're the middle person between the seller and the buyer. So you don't really have to have money unless you have to double close, right? If you have to double close, you have to come up with transactional funding, right? And I've used my lenders my private lenders and lenders for transactional funding many times, right? And they just charge me like 2% or something like this. So that's what you need to do, is just find a lender that it's okay with. Like, my lenders will go up to 30 days, but like most of them are like maybe 24 hours to maybe 7 days or something. So just find those specific lenders that are okay with transactional funding. A lot of them are private lenders, but there are hard money lenders out there as well too. And you can see here, it says private money versus hard money. Even though you are a wholesaler and you want to virtual wholesale, you still have to get to know lenders, right? You want to find private lenders and then you want to find hard money lenders. You want to create a master spreadsheet and put all your lenders on there and start building your credit up and getting money and getting it ready so that you can be ready when you do have the money to any of those deals that come across your plate. You're going to be like, I think I'm going to keep this one, right? Okay. And that's what your goal is. That's your end goal. And that's what I tell my students is like, come up with some sort of a strategy that works for you. All right. So it's like, maybe it's like wholesale, hold, or something like this, or like wholesale, hold, rehab or something. You could be like wholesale, rehab, hold. Right? You could like make a little chant and be like, that's your chant, right? Okay. Anyways, come up with a strategy that fits you, whatever it is. Okay. All right, and then I have creative deal structures. We went over that. You need to be good at doing creative deal structuring. All right, you just got to get good at this, everybody. All right, because you want to be the wholesaler that offers 3 to 5 different strategies. And we talked about the attorney versus the title company, and then bookkeeping falls underneath this too. Bookkeeping for investors is a lot of work. All right. So this is the very first thing. Well, actually, not the very first thing. The very first person that I hired on my team was somebody to do my direct mail marketing, because I did some letters myself, and then I was like, screw that. So I hired somebody to do that, because it was like 10 years ago where there was like no fulfillment houses. Now there's like a gazillion fulfillment houses. And I bet you with all the stuff going on, there's probably some good deals out there with the fulfillment houses. I am an affiliate lender of REI Print Mail. All right. You can go onto the Southland AREA page, and you can go and get their information there. I love REI Print Mail because they just set it up and they do it all for you, right? But you want to have a fulfillment company to do that. The second person I hired was my bookkeeper, right? Because I closed a couple of deals, and I went in to sit and do my QuickBooks, and I was like, screw that. I'm not going to sit here and figure that out. So I hired a bookkeeper, and she did all my stuff for me, is what she did. All right. She worked for me like 7 years. All right. So that is that on the finance. And then Wilson says TaskRabbit is good for the boots on the ground person. Now that's a good tip. Thanks, Wilson. And finally, we have liquidations. Okay, so liquidations means, all right, you get to sell the sucker. All right, so you build a buyer's list up. All right, how do you build a buyer's list up if you live in a different state? First of all, you have to get to know your, that's why you have to be involved in like all of the groups, all the RIAs is what I'm talking about. So get involved in the RIA, so you could be in their Facebook groups. So you could be like, yo, I need some cash buyers, and post it out, all right? Especially inside their groups. And then you need to go onto Facebook, and you need to go join all the Facebook groups for that area. So if you're in like out in Birmingham, you just type like Birmingham wholesalers or Birmingham wholesaling or whatever, and then all these groups will come up, and you join it, and then you post out like, yo, I'm looking for some cash buyers, I'm trying to build my list up, and then everybody will give you their emails. And so that's how you're building your buyers list up, building your cash buy, and finding cash buyers is by literally, I'm utilizing social media is probably going to be the best way for you to build your cash buyers list up. All right. And then utilizing your RIA and getting into those groups and talking to your group. And another thing that I've noticed a lot of people do, because we have 3 different meetups, is that people get onto the meetup and they also post it out there. Like, hey, I'm trying to build up my cash buyer list. So you could actually get onto the meetup in your local areas, and then post out right there. Like you can post into the meetup and talk to each other inside the meetup as well too, and get information that way. Okay. And start just ask people like, hey, I'm looking for some cash buyers. I have a house for sale in like, Birmingham or whatever. Anybody interested? Okay. And then people will kind of contact you and say, yeah, I'm interested. So that's another way as well too. And then but another thing that you can do is you can also market for cash buyers, right? So you can get into like private Facebook groups, and and post out, like you can get into like private like Facebook groups and post out like, I have a house for sale in blah 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 blah, anybody interested, right? And then you'll see like everybody's like, yeah, post that out. I've noticed a lot of like wholesalers that are wholesaling right now, they're posting out all the time all their houses. So they're still wholesaling, it's just that they're not, they're not just calling up their VIP buyers anymore now, because a lot of buyers might have backed off a little bit. So they're posting out as well too on their posts. And Instagram is another place that you can do is Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, not just Facebook, but all of the social media sites. And then another thing that you can do is partner. Right, so you can partner with other investors in that city that may have a bigger list, and then just split it 50-50, right? So you can go into like, let's say, go into your RIA Facebook group and say, hey, like, all right, so I got a deal here, it's a hot deal, like I need a buyer. If anybody has a buyer, I'll partner with you, we can split the deal. Right. And so just in the beginning, when you starting out, there's nothing wrong with partnering to find buyers. So there might be somebody in the group that has like a huge big list, and then you can partner with them and they can blast the email out, or they may know somebody or something like this. So partnering is also good. All right. Most important thing about liquidations is just closing the deal. And I talked about this earlier. Negotiations is the hardest part, and actually getting the owner, convincing them to sell the house to you is the hardest part. Now, it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the next couple of months, because I really feel like sellers, They were going like way overboard on what they thought their houses were worth. I mean, just way overboard, right? And you would just get like ridiculous numbers from sellers and be like, what? Your house is like not worth that at all. So I think over the course of the next couple of months, I think sellers will become more reasonable with their prices. All right. So I think that's a good thing. And then you'll just have to, the goal for you is to negotiate and to close that deal. And that's the hardest part. Everybody thinks like finding the house and getting under contract. I mean, so finding the house and doing all the marketing strategies is hard, but honestly, that's just like the first part of like this whole like cycle that you have to go through, right? Like actually closing the deal and getting it to be closed, like taking it to the attorney or the title company and having them run it and going through all the process of going through the liens or any title issues and all that. That is the hardest part. Okay. That's the hardest part. All right, cool. So that is it for the 5 departments. All right, that is it for the 5 departments. I wanted to go quickly into what I feel like my top 3 success strategies are. Does anybody have any final questions about those departments as well too? All right, so I kind of went through them fast, I know, but at least hopefully you took a lot of notes, right? And so you should have a step-by-step process and all the different things that you should be focusing on. As you can see, in 5 departments, there was like 5 major things that you had to focus on in each of those 5 departments. And it's really a lot of moving parts. It really is a lot of moving parts, right? So I wanted to put in what I thought the most successful. Every investor that I know that's wholesaling or virtually wholesaling, and they're just rocking and rolling, they're doing like 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 deals a month. They have these 3 qualities. I'm telling you, they have these 3 qualities, and these are the 3 things that they do best. And every successful investor that I know follows these 3 strategies, right? So you want to, as you start to grow, implement systems into your business, right? You're going to notice you're doing the same things over and over and over, right? So what is the systems that you can implement so that you can make it just so much easier, right? So, answering the phone or filling out a seller lead sheet, asking the questions, running your numbers, running your deal analysis, right? These are all systems that you can implement into your business, right? And then delegating, right? You cannot do it all. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. You cannot do it all. You are not an island. And I have a couple of students I tell all the time, you're not an island. You have to go out and build your team up. You have to have help with this, right? And so you want to make sure that you get people to do all the things that you're not good at, right? And I know this is the hardest thing for everybody to do. They all think that hiring somebody or partnering with somebody is going to like take away money or cost money. But the truth of the matter is that it doesn't cost that much money. In fact, your time, you get so much more time that you can do the things that are most important. Like you can do either more marketing strategies, or you can answer the phone more, or you can, whatever the things that you want to do is what you can be doing more of. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell my students, just think about how your business would be if you were only focusing on the things that you did well and you delegated the stuff that you did not do well, right? Think about how awesome your business would be, right? And that's what I do in my business, right? I sit there like I do a lot of emails, copyright. I hate copywriting, and I've been doing copywriting for a year now. And I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm hiring somebody to do copywriting, because I just can't. It just takes up too much time. You know what I'm saying? So, like that's basically how you should be thinking. Is like this is taking up way too much of my time. I need to be focusing more on like what's making money and not what's costing me money. Okay. And then finally, credibility, right? You have to have credibility in this business. No contractor is going to want to work with you without credibility. No seller is going to want to sell you a house without credibility. No realtor is going to want to work with you if you don't have any credibility. No lender is going to want to lend you money if you don't have credibility. I mean, no other wholesaler is going to want to work with you if you ruin your credibility, right? It's just how it is. So please have integrity and build your credibility up so that you can build your business up, right? Okay, so we had a couple of questions here. Let me see. Do you know of a good answering and EFAX system that you can recommend to us? Yes, efax.com. I use for my faxes. It's like 15 bucks a month or something. And then good answering service. You can use Pat Live. And then also there's a couple other ones. If you guys have answering services, put them, if you know of any answering services, put them in the chat, okay? Angela says, what do you think of using companies like Privy? I love Privy. I love Privy. Okay, I'm a Privy person. I know there's a lot of comping softwares out there, but Privy is not complicated. That's why I like it, because I think all the other comping softwares, it's like they just get, and then all of a sudden they start like doing other things, like, oh, now all of a sudden this comping software can like send your letters out or whatever, and I'm like, it just gets to be too much and too encompassing, right? So for me, Privy is the only thing that I use, and it's just very simple. Okay. And then Darlene says Pat Live. That's what she uses. Catline. I haven't heard of that one yet. CompleteComps.com is what Chris Mills uses. Awesome. Okay, good. All right. So everybody has all this. Okay, good. Marcus says he uses Privy. Where do we find the tried and true hard money lenders? The hard money lenders, the tried and true hard money lenders, are like, you mean like, okay, so there's a difference between private money and hard money. Hard money is asset-based, mostly asset-based. They do kind of require credit, but it's mostly asset-based, right? So you can find those, like just go to your RIA, your local RIA, and you can find those. So like on my South Atlanta RIA page, there's like a section for vendors, and under vendors, there's like a list of we have like 7 vendors that are money vendors. All right. And there's from all different, even outside of the state, and they just lend money in Georgia. So if you go to your RIA, whichever local RIA you're at, you will be able to find lenders through your RIA. Okay. And then private money lenders, like I said, the South Atlanta RIA has April Crosley. Speaking of private money lenders are going to be like your friends and family, your neighbors, your co-workers. Those are private money lenders, right? Okay. Okay, awesome. Great questions. I love it. I'm seeing so many people talking to each other, so I love it. Thank you guys so much for listening in. Darlene, thank you for reminding us about live. Good, awesome, perfect. Can you recommend a reliable bird dog and VA in Atlanta? I'm not sure if Shauna's on here, but Shauna Smith, she has a VA company. She just did a workshop for the South Atlanta RIA, how to hire VAs. So you can get a hold of Shauna Smith. I don't know how to get a hold of her off the top of my head, but look up Shauna Smith and you'll find her. Let's see what else. Have you used comps to Privy to find deals? Yes, Privy finds deals as well. Yes, it's not just a comping service, it'll find you deals as well. Yes. Yeah, Shauna Smith is who I was talking about. Shauna Smith, I think she has a virtual assistant company, so you can do that. If anybody else have any suggestions about finding VAs, then just put it on the chat, okay? All right, gosh, great questions. I love them so much. Okay, real fast, I just wanted to get into, I've been talking a lot about my beginner's mastermind, right? And so I wanted to just get into that so you guys had a quick idea of how that worked. Okay, so as you guys know, if we go back to this slide, you know that like there's a lot of moving parts in the wholesaling world, right? It's just nutso, right? A lot of things going on. And you know now the top 3 strategies I feel you should be focusing on: systems, credibility, and delegating, right? So what I wanted to just point out was the beginner's mastermind that I've been doing now for a while. And I wanted to just point out, you guys, I know that things like that, I know that there's a lot of fear out there with the real estate market. I hope you guys got into your head that you should not be scared right now, all right? You should be instead powering yourself up and charging yourself up so that you can conquer not only the next couple of months, but you can conquer over the rest of the year, right? And essentially that is what I'm there for. That is what a mentor is there for. And I provide coaching service. I'm a coach. I'm a guide. I provide knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge. I've done all the different types of transactions you can imagine. I give you support. I give you direction. And that's what a coach, that's what a mentor is for, right? So in your mind, if you've been thinking like, really, I've been trying to do this for a while. I've really been trying to wholesale, or I really want to wholesale, and I realize that there's a lot of stuff going on and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on my own. Please consider just looking into and talking to me about my mentorship program, okay? Because you will have somebody by your side to help you along the way, to answer questions, be there to guide you and support you, all right? So the mastermind is called the Real Estate Investing for Beginners Mastermind, all right? And essentially the reason I started this is because I want to help impact as many people as I can learning how to get their first deal, right? To get the first deal or to get the next deal. They're just, this is a mastermind for beginner investors that are just starting out, and they're just like, I really want to get going. I really want to get this done, but I'm not 100% sure I can do it on my own, right? So we provide, basically, it's a virtual group calling and coaching. So we've been doing this now for several months. And so you get 18 2-hour virtual coaching calls with me, where we get on every other Wednesday and we talk, and we have a 2-hour session where we have a topic that we go over, and then we go over each student, where they're at, what they're doing, what help they need. And then the thing with the group coaching that I love so much is the power of like having a group together to help each other. All right. So the thing that I've noticed with my masterminds is that I'll go onto the Facebook group and I'll see like everybody helping each other. Like I hadn't been on it like a day or two, and I go in and look, and like people are asking questions and talking to each other. And I just totally love that, you know. So I'm your coach and guide, and I'm going to help you and support you. But you have the power of everybody else on your team supporting you and holding you accountable as well too. That's the power of group coaching. And then on top of that, we have 2 face-to-face masterminds, right? So I haven't set the dates for those yet because we're waiting to see essentially what's going to happen with the world, right? But for now, we have just the every other Wednesday group coaching calls. And then we also have accountability software. So we use a software called Coach Accountable, and then we get in there and we set metrics for everybody. We set goals for everybody, right? So for instance, like the last session that we did it on online marketing. And like one of the things that I said was like, okay, your goal is to like, you know, contact Carrot and talk to Carrot about how much everything would cost to set up. Another goal that would be is to like to contact like ZBuyer or another type of online marketing service and see how much they would cost as well too. And I set those as like tasks and goals for you. And then essentially if you do it, you get to say, yes, I did it. And if you don't do it, you have to say no. And yes means green and no means red. And then you kind of see how as the course goes along, if you see a lot of reds, you're like, shit, oh my God, I got a lot of reds. And then what happens is you see the entire group as well too, right? And so you'll see like everybody's getting green and you're having red, right? So essentially you'll be like, oh crap, like now everybody's doing all their homework and everything they should be doing. I need to catch up and do this as well too, right? So that's also the power of the accountability software. Okay, so those are kind of 2 kind of like parts of the software that we of the coaching program that we have. On top of that, we also have in-field training days, right? So you'll be able to get out once all this passes. We'll be able to go out to houses, and you're going to see like how we, you know, either how we run deals, we do our acquisitions, we put in our repair estimates together, we do deal analysis, we do creative deal structuring and how we put all that together. So those are in-field training days. And then on top of that, you also get all of the documents and everything that you need. So if you need a purchase and sell agreement, if you need, you know, repair estimates, if you need any type of template or anything like that, you just get those included into the program as well too. And those are going to you know, be available for you for the life of the mastermind. So what I wanted to say is that I didn't want to go too much into the mastermind, but I do want to put my phone number up. So if you have been thinking about whether or not you want a mastermind, a mentor. You say, I need some help. I've just been struggling with this. You can please, if you want to just give me a call. I'm not, putting the price out or telling everybody to do this. There's no applications or anything like that. It's just like, if you want to have a call with me, what we're going to do is I'm going to call it the implementation strategy session. And essentially I'm going to help you on your next steps. Right? So you're gonna set a call up with me, and then I'm gonna help you with your next steps. What do I do next? And then we'll go over the program. And then if you're interested, you can think about it, and I'll send you some information on it. So all you have to do is just give me a call. My number is 419-77-Stacy. I didn't really want to push you guys too bad on it, but if you are thinking about having a mentor for the rest of 2020, then please consider talking to me so I can help you. I really want to help as many people as I can, okay? And I did see a couple of my students on the call as well too, so that's good. So they're even listening in as well. So other than that, any final questions, anything else that you guys had? And I'll go over some questions. Do you help with finding and doing a hands for flip? That was something I didn't mention as well too, is it's a beginner's mastermind, right? It's a beginner's mastermind. So what that means is I'm going to get you to your next deal. All right, so that could be any deal, because you're going to literally learn how to do everything is what you're going to be doing. So it's going to be like because the way that real estate works anyways is it's like you set the foundations of your business up. So you're going to set up all your marketing strategies, your acquisition strategies. You're going to start looking for houses, looking for properties. You're going to start learning how to wholesale. You're going to learn how to rehab. You're going to learn how to do creative deal structuring. You're going to learn how to buy rentals, because essentially the foundations are that's all the same, right? So you're going to learn how to do all that. And then as you go through the problem, you're going to figure out like, hey, I really like this strategy the best. I'd really like to focus on this strategy. So I will be there to help you to focus on that strategy. All right. And then I didn't mention as well too, but every Friday I have office hours for my students. So all my students, they all call in, and then wherever they're at, they say, okay, no, I'm here. What do I do? What's my next step? And then we talk, and I give you your next strategy as well. So that's kind of part of the program as well too. So you get a virtual call every other week, and then you get like an office hour time that you can call me if you have any deals or anything that you need to run analysis on. I have office hours. And then the infill training and the accountability software and anything else. I mean, everything is there. But so yeah, any other questions? Because I didn't really see any other questions. Other than that, let's see. Do you help with finding and doing a hands-on flip? Yes. Flipping is going to be definitely on there. All right, I've been flipping houses for 10 years, so you will definitely learn how to flip. And Darlene has been on here. Darlene is amazing. And Darlene is actually going to speak at the Southland Area in December of this year. We have her down. So she's cool. Arthur's here. I see everybody. No other questions. I saw a post. Shauna's here. Shauna's on here. Oh, there's Shauna. You got it. Perfect. All right. I love everybody talking to each other. That's the whole purpose. So hang in there, guys. All right. We are all going to be strong. And our mantra is, I am strong. I'm going to get through this. And if you guys need to contact me, there's my phone number there. All right, I'm here for you. Okay. All right, it's 8:30. It's time to go to bed, right? Bye, guys. All right, have a good night. Bye, guys. See you later, alligators.